Dust swirled lazily along Sagebrush Street as Daniel Harlow leaned against the doorway of his gunsmith shop, polishing the barrel of a repaired revolver. He always worked with quiet focus, a man content to live tucked away from loud saloons and prying eyes. But today his attention drifted across the road to the new seamstress setting up shop in the old Murphy building. She moved with a grace that didn't match the rough boards she swept or the faded curtains she pinned. Her brown hair was tucked beneath a simple bonnet, and her eyes, when she glanced up, held a sharpness Daniel couldn't quite place. Her sign read, Elena Ward, seamstress, custom mending, but the way she avoided attention made him think Elena Ward wasn't her true name. Daniel had learned not to question people's pasts. He had secrets of his own things. No one in Sagebrush needed to know. But as Elena struggled to lift a crate of fabrics from her wagon, he found himself crossing the street before thinking twice. "Need a hand, Miss Ward?" he asked softly. She jumped slightly, gripping the crate. Yes, thank you." Her voice was gentle but layered with caution. Daniel lifted the crate easily and carried it inside. The shop smelled faintly of lavender and new cloth. Rolls of fabric filled old wooden shelves, and a half-finished dress draped across a mannequin. "You're new in town," Daniel said. "So are you," she replied. He stiffened. "Been here a year." Elena's lips twitched. That's still new enough to be mysterious. Daniel nearly smiled. She was observant, too observant for someone trying to blend in. "Well, welcome," he said, tipping his hat. "If you need anything, or if anyone gives you trouble, my shop's right across the way." Her eyes softened with gratitude, but fear flickered behind them. "Thank you, Mr. Harlow, truly." Daniel stepped outside, but before he reached the road, he heard her lock the door. Behind him not once, but twice. Whoever Elena Ward truly was. She wasn't just new, she was hiding from something, and Daniel felt himself pulled toward her mystery like a moth to a flame. Over the next week, Daniel found more and more excuses to visit the seamstress's shop. A torn sleeve, a loose button, a vest that didn't actually need adjusting. Elena always noticed, but never called him out. Instead, she offered polite smiles, nimble fingers sewing quickly, as if the needles steadied her heart. Daniel respected privacy, but he couldn't ignore the moments when her facade slipped. The way she flinched at loud voices outside, or how her gaze drifted to the window whenever a stranger rode into town. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the ridge, Daniel entered her shop with a leather holster. "Could use stitching," he said. "It's brand new," Elena replied with a raised brow. Came apart. She gave him a look that said she didn't believe him, but she took it anyway. "Sit." "You're not." Most women, silence stretched. Elena sighed and set the holster down. "If I told you I wasn't who people think I am, would you judge me?" "No, I'd understand." Her eyes studied him. "You have secrets too." Daniel looked away. "Everyone does." Before she could respond, a horse thundered outside. A man shouted orders deep, commanding, angry. Elena paled, stepping back from the window. Daniel's instincts sharpened. "Someone you know." "No," she whispered too quickly. He moved to the door and peeked through the crack. 3 men dismounted in front of the general store, armed and rough-looking. Their leader scanned the street with purpose, eyes hard as stone. Daniel recognized the look of men searching for something or someone. "Felina," he murmured, turning back to her. "If you need help, you tell me." "I can't," she breathed. "You can." Before she could argue, the shop door rattled. Someone tried the handle. Elena froze. Daniel silently reached behind his coat, fingers brushing the grip of a revolver he hadn't needed in a long time. "Elena Ward," a rugged voice called through the door. "We know you're in there." Elena's trembling breath confirmed everything. Her name wasn't Elena, and her past had finally caught up. Daniel stepped between Elena and the door, his voice low. "Back room." "Now." She hesitated, fear flashing across her face, but obeyed. He shut the curtain behind her, just as the doorknob twisted again harder. This time, Daniel opened the door, only a sliver. Shops closed. A scarred man shoved it wider. We're looking for a woman. Brown hair, about yay high. Goes by Elena Ward. Now, Daniel kept his face blank. Haven't seen her. Another man stepped forward, sneering. Funny folks. Said she came in through this shop. Daniel's patience thinned. You accusing me of lying? That depends, the leader growled. Mind if we take a look around? Daniel's jaw tightened. I do. The tension thickened. Daniel wasn't a man who sought trouble, but he wasn't about to let these men take Elena. Not when she was clearly terrified of them. You boys move along, he said calmly. No trouble needed. The leader smirked. Trouble's cumin, whether you want it or not. Behind them, Sheriff Landon stepped out of the saloon. Everything all right here? The men stiffened, but kept their ground. Daniel seized the moment. Sheriff, these fellas are looking for someone who ain't in my shop. The sheriff eyed them. Towns got rules. If you've got business, make it lawful. The men exchanged a look, clearly irritated, but unwilling to push their luck. The leader finally spat in the dirt. We'll be back. Daniel shut the door firmly once they were gone, bolting it. He slipped into the back room. Elena stood against the far wall, shaking. They're bounty hunters, she whispered hoarsely. I didn't do anything wrong, but they think I did. Daniel approached slowly. What's your real name? She swallowed. Elena Ward. And why are they after you? She closed her eyes. My brother stole money from their gang. They think I helped him escape. And did you? No. Her voice broke. But they don't care. Daniel exhaled. Then, we need a plan. Elena looked up at him, vulnerable, terrified, but trusting him more than she should. Why are you helping me? Because I know what it's like to run from a past you didn't choose. She stepped closer. Who are you, Daniel? He looked away. Shadows tightening across his face. A man who used to be very good with a gun, he said quietly, and may have to be again. The next days were tense. The bounty hunters lingered in Sagebrush, questioning townsfolk and watching the street. Elena stayed mostly inside her shop, curtains drawn. Daniel checked on her often, quietly reinforcing her back door and setting up escape routes. Why are you risking this for me? She asked one evening. Daniel hesitated. Because you deserve a life that's yours, not one stolen by fear. Her eyes softened. What about your life, Daniel? What are you running from? He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. Before I came here, I worked as a gunslinger for hire. I wasn't proud of the things I did. So I walked away, opened my shop, and tried to be better. Elena touched his arm gently. You already are. Before he could respond, heavy boots stomped outside. Daniel peered through the window. The bounty hunters were crossing the street, coming directly toward the seamstress shop. Elena, Daniel whispered, go to the back. Stay low. She obeyed. Daniel stepped outside, closing the door behind him. The leader approached, smug. You hiding her in there. Don't know what you're talking about. You keep blocking us, the man snarled. We're tired of it. Daniel kept his voice calm. She's innocent. Doesn't matter, the man said. We were paid to deliver her. Alive is optional. That was enough. Daniel drew his revolver, not pointed, but visible. Last chance to walk away. Instead, the man swung first. A fist crashed into Daniel's jaw. Daniel staggered, then countered, knocking the man to the dirt. The other two lunged. Daniel ducked one punch, blocked another, but a blow to his ribs sent him stumbling. Just as one man reached for his gun, a distant crack rang out sharp and decisive. The bullet hit the ground inches from the bounty hunter's boot. Everyone turned. Elena stood in the doorway, rifle in hand, trembling but steady enough. Leave him, she said, voice shaking but firm. The bounty hunters looked between them and scowled. This ain't over. They backed away, mounting their horses and riding off, dust swirling behind them. Daniel turned to Elena. You could have been killed. She lowered the rifle. So could you. Their eyes held. Something fragile and fierce sparked in that moment, a connection, stitched tighter by danger. Morning broke over Sagebrush with uneasy quiet. The bounty hunters were gone for now, but Daniel knew men like that didn't give up easily. He spent the day preparing the shop, checking weapons, and planning how to protect Elena. By evening, she crossed the street to him, apron dusted with threads. "Daniel," she said softly, "I don't want to run anymore." He looked up with tired eyes. "Then we stand our ground." She stepped closer. "Together?" He nodded. "Together." Before he could say more, the thunder of hooves shattered the peace. Daniel's grip tightened on his revolver as 3 riders charged down the street, the bounty hunters' guns drawn. "Elena, inside," he shouted. But Elena shook her head. "No more running." The riders fired. Daniel grabbed her arm and pulled her behind a water trough as bullets splintered wood. He returned fire, not aiming to kill, but to slow them. A bullet clipped the trough, sending shards flying. "Daniel," Elena cried, shielding him as he reloaded. He fired again, hitting one rider's arm. The gunman dropped his weapon and tumbled from his horse. The others circled around, but the townsfolk poured out, Sheriff Landon among them, rifles raised. "This ends now," the sheriff shouted. Outnumbered and wounded, the bounty hunters surrendered. The sheriff cuffed them, shaking his head. "You two caused quite a stir." Daniel exhaled deeply, tension draining. Elena leaned into him, trembling with relief. "It's over. For good," Daniel murmured. "They'll face the judge in Carson. You're safe." Elena's eyes glistened. "I never thanked you for believing me, for fighting for me." He brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. "I'd do it again, any time." She stared at him, courage rising. "Daniel, I want to stay in Sagebrush, but not just as a seamstress, hiding from shadows. I want a real life, a future." "With me?" he asked quietly. "If you'll have me." Daniel cupped her face gently. "Elena Lanner, you're the bravest woman I've ever met. And I'm done hiding from my past, too." Their lips met in a tender, hard-won kiss. One forged in danger, strengthened by trust, and guided by hope. As the sun sank behind the hills, Sagebrush felt new, again reborn, through the courage of 2 people who found love in the ashes of their secrets. And at the bottom of the story, written in soft, looping script, Elena added, "Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Western stories."